Good day, ladies. This is the Alpha Woman One, aka the Alpha Womanpreneur, coming to you live on this beautiful Saturday. Today is February the third day of Black History Month, and happy Black History Month. And I wanted to come to you to talk about one historical Black woman in history. I want to do a profile on her. And I will be doing the types of profile on Black women entrepreneurs, creatresses, innovators, and inventors, and just Black women, creating and inventing things and in entrepreneurship all year round. Okay, because in my opinion, Black history and Black herstory is all year around, not just in February. So today I will be talking about Mrs. Annie Minerva Turnbo Malone. And she was the first Black woman millionaire in America. And she was also Madam C.J. Walker's mentor. We are told that Madam C.J. Walker was the first Black woman millionaire, but come to find out that's not so. It is Mrs. Annie Malone. And that's not to take anything away from Madam C.J. Walker. She was a legendary and a great woman too, but Miss Annie Malone has taught Mrs. Walker what she knew, and she has helped not only Mrs. Walker, but many other women of African descent to succeed in the Black hair and cosmetics industry. Okay. And I am going to start off with her profile. And I'm going to read her profile to you. And as you see, I will be showcasing pictures of her, throughout my readings. And I will also talk about how her business strategies apply to us womanpreneurs today. Okay? So I am going to start off by reading Annie Turnbo Malone, African-American educator, entrepreneur, and inventor. And she was also other things. She was a philanthropist, a chemist also. In the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, with the new freedom came businesses and financial successes for many women in Missouri. One of the nation's wealthiest African Americans was Annie Malone, founder and owner of Poro College, a cosmetics firm that started in St. Louis and later occupied an entire city block in Chicago. Perhaps you never heard of Annie before. If not, you're in good company. Most everyone reading this page has never heard of Annie. And if you are in the African American hair care or cosmetics industry, Annie is the mother of what you are doing. You are about to meet a remarkable woman. And I am going to read a little summary of all the things she's done. I'm going to pause, take this moment to do that. Okay, she was the first in Missouri to own a Rolls Royce. And it paid over $40,000 in taxes alone in 1926. Annie owned a whole city block in Chicago. Annie's philanthropy was legendary. Annie gave diamond rings for 5 years of service. Annie gave cash awards for savings accounts and home purchases. Annie trained well over 7,500 women entrepreneurs. Annie trained Madam C.J. Walker to be a Poro agent. Okay, I'm going to now get into her biography. Okay, Malone is recorded as one of America's first Black female millionaire based on reports about her beauty and cosmetic enterprises, Poro, headquartered in St. Louis and Chicago. Annie Minerva Turnbo Malone, born August 9th, 1869, died May 10, 1957, was an African-American businesswoman, educator, inventor, and philanthropist. Annie was 2 years younger than Madam C.J. Walker. She had launched her hair care business 4 years before Sarah Breedlove, aka Madam C.J. Walker. In the early 1900s, Madam Walker worked as a payroll agent for Annie for about 1 year. In the 3 decades of the 20th century, the first 3 decades, she founded and developed a large and prominent commercial and educational enterprise centered around cosmetics for African American women. Annie was born in Metropolis, Illinois, to former slaves. She was the 10th of 11 children born to Robert Turnbo, a poor farmer, and Isabella Cook Turnbo. Because her parents died when she was young, Annie was raised by her older sister in nearby Peoria, Illinois. She was a sickly child and missed a lot of school, which resulted her in having to withdraw from completing high school. While she was coming of age, the popular style among Black women was that of a straight hair look. Black women were starting to turn their backs on the braided cornrow styles they associated with the fields of slavery and began to embrace a look which for them meant freedom and progression toward equality in America. While in Peoria, Malone took an early interest in hair textures. In the 1890s, being a lover of styling hair, Annie began to envision a way of straightening hair without having to use the methods of old, which included using soap, goose fat, heavy oils, butter and bacon, grease, or the carding combs of sheep. She'd also witnessed method of hair straightening which employed lye sometimes mixed with potatoes, but was turned off by the procedure because it often resulted in damaged scalps and broken hair follicles. Okay. Annie Malone is the mother of the African American cosmetics, hair care, and beauty industries. Coupled with the influence of her aunt, who was an herbal doctor, and her knowledge of chemistry, Annie Turnbo developed a chemical which could be used to straighten hair without causing damage to the hair or scalp. By the time she was in her late 20s, Turnbo had developed a straightening solution which would grant her entry into the annals of the hair care industry. By the beginning of the 1900s, Annie Malone began to revolutionize hair care methods for all African Americans. Armed with this revolutionary formula and a product she called the Great Wonderful Hair Grower, Annie moved to St. Louis in 1902. She hired some assistants and began selling her products door to door. Word of her products and teaching methods spread like wildfire, and soon her products and Poro method of hair were a success. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Now, as you all who have been following up with my business branding basics series, I talked about, creating products and services to help people. Business is not always about making money. It's about making a difference in people's lives, changing people's lives. And One entrepreneur by the name of Seth Godin says, don't find customers for your products, find products for your customers. And that's exactly what Annie did. She found a better way of straightening hair for African American women, her target audience, that would not damage their hair and scalp. So she created a product to help her target market to make a difference in their lives, which were African American women. So that's key. Create products for your customers. Okay, so moving along. Okay, and I am going to speak about her college now. Malone believed that if African American women improved their physical appearance, they would gain greater self-respect and achieve success in other areas of their lives. Malone called it Poro, a West African Mindy male secret or devotional society. That's the name she named her college. And she wanted to help, like I said, African American women improve their physical appearance. An organization, this is the name she named her college, Poro, is an organization located throughout Liberia and Sierra Leone dedicated to disciplining and enhancing the body spiritually and physically. There were some elements of the term that seemed to indicate beauty, even though it was not in vogue during that era. Annie wanted to connect her poor agents to their African roots, and this was her way of doing so. She and her assistants sold her unique brand of hair care products door to door. Okay. By 1902, Malone's business growth led her to St. Louis, Missouri, which at the time held the fourth largest populations of African Americans. In St. Louis, she copyrighted her Poro brand beauty products. In 1914, in a St. Louis wedding, Malone married the school principal, Aaron Eugene Malone. By 1917, as the United States entered World War I, Annie Malone had become so successful that she founded and opened the Poro College in St. Louis, Missouri. And as I read a minute ago, she got that name from a West African Mindy male secret or devotional society because she wanted to take her market back to their roots. Okay, that was her, agenda also. It was the first educational institution in the United States dedicated to the study and teaching of Black cosmetology. The school reportedly graduated over 75,000 agents worldwide, including the Caribbean. Stopping there. Now, Annie has branded herself as a leader in her industry. And she has taught 75,000 women worldwide to become entrepreneurs in the Black hair care and cosmetics industry. So as you remember, I talked about in my business branding basics series about becoming a leader in your industry. You learn your skill or skills, you master them, and you go out and teach it. You go carry your intellectual value out there in the marketplace. And that's what Annie done. Okay, the school employed nearly 200 people. Its curriculum included instructions to train students on personal style to present themselves at work, walking, talking, and style of dress designed to maintain a public persona. The Poro College building was later purchased by St. James African Methodist Episcopal AME Church and demolished in 1965 to construct the James House. Okay. Now I'm going to now talk a little bit about her philanthropy and her charity. And this picture right here that I just clicked to, this is one of her graduating classes at her school. You see, it says Diploma Day at Poro College. Nice pic. Okay. By 1926, the college employed 175 people. Franchise outlets in North and South America, Africa, and the Philippines employed some 75,000 women. Malone had become a wealthy woman. The Philadelphia Tribune reported that in 1923, Annie Malone paid the highest income tax of any African American in the country. For instance, her 1924 income tax payment totaled nearly $40,000. However, despite her wealth, Malone lived conservatively and gave away much of her fortune to help African Americans. She is one of the first major Black philanthropists in America. A $25,000 donation from Malone helped build the St. Louis Colored YWCA. From 1919 to 1943, Malone served as a board president of the St. Louis Colored Orphans Home. During this time, she raised most of the orphanage's construction costs. She had donated the first $10,000 to build the orphanage's new building in 1919. With her help in 1922, it brought a facility at 2612 Annie Malone Drive. It continues to serve from the historic Ville neighborhood. Upgraded and expanded, the facility was renamed in her honor as Annie Malone Children and Family Service Center in 1946. She donated she donated large sums to countless charities. During the 1920s, Malone's philanthropy included financing the education of 2 full-time students in every historically Black college and university in the country. Her $25,000 donation to Howard University was among the largest gifts the university had received by a private donor of African descent. She also contributed to the Tuskegee Institute. Malone was very generous with family and employees. She educated many of her nieces and nephews and bought homes for her brothers and sisters. She awarded employees with lavish gifts for attendance, punctuality, service anniversaries, and as rewards for investing in real estate. Okay. And I am going to skip over to talk a little bit about the decline of her business. Now, like it says here, Malone's generosity raised her stature in the community, but also contributed to the financial decline of her business. While she was spending time on civic affairs and distributing her wealth to various organizations, she left the day-to-day affairs of business in the hands of managers, including her husband. Some of these managers were inexperienced or dishonest, eventually leading to the dismantling of her business empire. Now, that's unfortunate. Okay. And okay, I'm going to read the last part where it talks about her legacy and how she is just now getting credit for being the first Black woman millionaire in the U.S. Malone's business failure tarnished her images. Her former employee, Madam C.J. Walker, often overshadows Malone because of Walker's business remained successful and more widely known. Walker is often credited as the originator of the Black beauty and cosmetics business and the direct distribution and sales agent system that Malone developed. Many historians believe Malone deserves more credit for her devotion to helping African Americans gain financial independence and her generous donations to educational, civic, and social causes. Okay. So that's why Madam C.J. Walker is known as the first Black woman millionaire in America instead of Miss Annie Malone, because her business failure tarnished her image. And she just had people in her business that were not honest and trustworthy. And unfortunately, that happens to businesses sometimes, and that's why you have to be careful of who you let work in your business. Okay. And her legacy lives on. St. Louis honors her memory with the Annie Malone Children and Family Service Center, whose mission is to improve the quality of life for children, families, elderly, and the community by providing social services, educational programs, advocacy, and entrepreneurship. Okay. And here's a little interesting tidbit. Who created the hot comb, Annie Malone or Madam Walker? The answer is neither. It is reported that in 1872, a hairdresser named Marcel Gratteau used a pressing comb on his clientele in Paris who were trying to emulate the straight style of ancient Egyptian hair, but it's not really known who invented the device. Annie Malone was the first to patent a hot comb. Madam C.J. Walker improved upon the comb by widening the teeth for use on Black hair. Okay, interesting fact there. Okay, so I have read you all the profile of Miss Annie Malone, America's first Black woman millionaire, and her mentorship of Madam C.J. Walker, who we have been taught was the first Black woman millionaire in America. And I talked about her business strategies and how they apply to us today. For example, branding yourself as a leader in your industry and creating products and services to help your target market, as Miss Malone did. Okay, and also how to protect the image of your business. Unfortunately, like they say, her business failed because of dishonest and distrustful employees and managers. And so, that's what brought her business down and why she was not recognized all these years as the first Black woman millionaire. And I will get into that some other times about avoiding the pitfalls of, of hiring anybody in your business. But nevertheless, Miss Annie Malone is a pioneer, and I salute this amazing her story remaking sister, and we can learn a lot from her. Okay, she has taught many women in entrepreneurship, 75,000. She has really made a great impact on the lives of women of African descent and in her community. And so that concludes my profile of Miss Annie Malone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope that you all have got some value out of this. And you all have a great Saturday. Don't forget to click that subscribe button, like, share, and comment. Goodbye.